Before I get started, I just want to mention that my visual aids will be in the description where you can view them in color and in full. The dust cleared from the air. Our 15-passenger van stopped abruptly on the side of the road just outside of New York. Every 2 years, my family takes 2 weeks off in the summer to drive to Maine to visit my extended family. When we make this trek, everyone is mentally prepared, knowing that something is bound to go wrong. One 15-passenger van, 2 parents, and 10 children, all traveling 2,500 miles to visit my extended family. The trip was going great until we heard a strange noise coming from the engine. After examining the van's condition, my dad decided to call a tow truck. Upon arrival, noticing that his truck would not fit all of us, the tow guy suggested that we call a limousine company. Realizing how much a limo would cost, my parents resorted to the only other option left: ride in our broken down van on the bed of the tow truck 25 minutes to the closest mechanic. This is just a glimpse into the crazy things one experiences when growing up in a big family. Today I will inform you on what it is like to grow up with 9 siblings. First, I will give you a glimpse into daily life, and then I will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of growing up in a big family. After my speech, it is my hope that you will in part know what it feels like to grow up in a big family, and some of the pros and cons of this lifestyle. What does daily life in a family of 10 homeschooled kids look like? Most people have to set an alarm every morning to catch the school bus before it leaves. Not my family. Being homeschooled, my mom woke us all up every morning, and to motivate us to get up, she would tell us, "If you don't get up when I wake you up, you don't get your computer time." For most of my siblings, this was quite a good motivator. For my mom to make breakfast for our army of a family was too big of a task, so our cafeteria served primarily cereal. After eating, all of us would split off into our different rooms of the house and get started on our schoolwork, while my mom graded papers in the main room. One of the main reasons our family was able to function as a unit daily was because we all had our different tasks. My parents kept us busy from sun up to sundown. With a schedule for old, middle, and young kids, we all had our duties mapped out. As a young kid, I had to help out with small jobs around the house like emptying the dishwasher or getting the mail. Then, as I got older, I acquired more and more jobs, such as babysitting the young kids while mom and dad went out, washing dishes, or organizing soccer games in the backyard for PE. At some point each day, all of us had a time in which we would meet with my mom, and she would check over all the work we had done. Then, she would assign what we had to do for the next day. Since we were homeschooled, we always got out of school far earlier than our public school friends that lived around us. This often got us into a lot of trouble. I remember one cold winter day in our spare time, my older brother Isaac, who is standing right here, my older brother Isaac and I accidentally set the lawn on fire with a homemade catapult we made and a fireball we shot out of it. Another time, my brother Stephen, who is right here in the visual aid, my older brother Stephen and I found a beehive full of honey down the street from our house. Seeing this new discovery as a way to earn some fresh honey, we devised a plan. We would drive our ATVs down the street, throw bricks at the hive and knock it down, and then wait for the bees to leave. Then, we would retrieve the well-earned prize. Well, to say the least, it didn't exactly play out like we had planned. Now I will touch on some advantages of being raised in a large family. Growing up, I never truly realized it, but I was always surrounded by someone. Because of this, I scarcely suffered from depression or loneliness in my younger years. Janice R. Bullock, in her article Loneliness in Young Children, brings to light the strong connection between childhood loneliness and depression. She says, loneliness is a significant problem that can predispose young children to immediate and long-term negative consequences. And further states, children who feel lonely often experience poor peer relations and therefore express more loneliness than peers with friends. For me, there was never a dull moment, always something to do or someone doing something interesting. Another huge advantage to growing up in a family with 9 siblings is I was always forced to be social, regardless of whether I wanted to be. I'm very thankful to have been blessed with so many siblings so that I did not have to battle with depression or loneliness at a young age. Finally, I will touch briefly on the disadvantages of growing up in a large family. Since there is always so much action going on, it is often hard to get one-on-one quality time with parents. Sadly, I cannot remember many times in which I was able to go out and get coffee or just talk privately with my parents, without fear of being interrupted by another sibling. In her article titled, "Are Large Families Harmful to Children?" Julie Borg admits to this phenomenon. She admits that it's true. But she goes on to say, big families often had closer sibling bonds because they felt part of a team. Several studies showed children from larger families were more likely to be altruistic, cooperative, and independent. But just because I was not allowed a lot of one-on-one time with my parents growing up did not take away from the fact that I did have a very strong relationship with both of them. Another disadvantage of growing up in a big family is that no one ever seems to invite your family over for dinner. I guess they must just be intimidated by the amount of food they'll have to prepare for us. Another sad thing is when you do get invited to someone's house, no one can ever seem to remember anyone's names. Growing up in a big family has been an enormous blessing to me, and I wouldn't trade the family I have for the world. Today we have discussed what daily life in a big family looks like and some of the disadvantages and advantages of that lifestyle. Every day is filled with a new and exciting adventure. Even though there are some small disadvantages to growing up with multiple siblings, I am a firm believer that the advantages outweigh. I would like to close with some thoughts from Anna Sutherland, which she wrote in her article titled, "For Kids, Large Families Have Pros and Cons." She admits that there are some short-term disadvantages to having many siblings, but goes on to inform of the many benefits, such as greater social skills, less likelihood to divorce, and finally mentions the ease of taking care of older parents later in life. I believe all this to be true and would not trade my experience of growing up in a big family for the world. Thank you.